to Grey County Life at Home. I'm one of your hosts, Rhonda Brown. Charlie's looking for a treat. And we have the beautiful Mary Jane Murray. Good morning, Mary Jane. How are you today?
Oh, good morning, Rhonda, and thank you for those very kind words, because some days I don't feel particularly beautiful. But on this day, I was looking for bright colors because it's good for our mental health.
You are absolutely right. And here, Charlie's sitting up nice and tall, showing off his colors. I wore black. I don't know what I was thinking. You'd think after a few years of doing this that I'd realize that Charlie and I would just blend into the background. And I've been so good on my trying not to eat too many butter tarts in a day. So I'm feeling good, but yeah, I wore black. What do you do?
Well, today is May 4th. So may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you too. We did talk about getting dressed up, and I had the best of intentions, which I typically do. And gee whiz, the week just goes by so fast before the show starts again. And rather than beat myself up over not having the most spectacular outfit, I just thought, well, I'll just look online and find what do they drink in the Star Wars world universe. And one of the ones that I saw was called Jet Juice. And I think it was Chewbacca and Han Solo apparently keep some under the console in the Millennium Falcon. Is that the name of their ship? I mean, I'm a Star Wars, fanatic, but not to that extreme. But I thought, well, I don't think I should start my day off with jet juice because God only knows where it would go after the show. So I do have a glass of water, but in the spirit of having some jet juice for the day, okay?
Oh, what a fabulous idea. That you put more effort into it than I did. I mean, last year I was a gray-haired Princess Leia, and this year I'm just the gray hair. So, I love the way you always bring a spark and a sense of fun to the show, Rhonda. And even though we didn't get dressed up this year, there's just too many other pressing issues going on. But your bright smile always lightens everything up, and it makes all of us smile. And how I'm gonna look up that jet juice after the show.
It could make for a really fun afternoon on the front porch, I may show up.
Oh, wow. And I think particularly with mental health and the Canadian Mental Health Week, even though it's May 2nd to May 8th, and this program will air next week, but we do need to think about our mental health and the things that bring us joy all year round, not just 1 week or 1 month of the year.
Well, and that is something that it's funny because I sat down at one time and thought, I'm going to write down what do I get joy from in my life. And it's a pretty stable list, to be honest. When I go back to it once in a while and I think, you know what, my volunteering in our community, I get a lot of joy out of that. And I was just talking to somebody this morning about, focusing on something else. And, I think that saying a little prayer, and it doesn't necessarily, whatever you pray to, whatever you find comfort in, whether it's the universe, God, Allah, whatever name you want to give it, saying a prayer for somebody who's less fortunate, somebody who's struggling, wow, it really changes your frame of mind. The same as volunteering and doing something for somebody less fortunate in our community. That's one of the biggest things on my joy list is volunteering and saying a prayer for somebody in need. And then of course there's always Mr. Charles, who gives me enormous joy. It's awfully hard to feel sad when this guy snuggles up with me and gives me so much love. It's just ridiculous. And Emerson and I just shower him with affection, and it does feel really, really good. It is a nice thing. And
well, I think I think for me that joy comes in the grand things, like my grandchildren. I mean, and my wonderful daughter-in-laws and my very thoughtful sons. I mean, my family certainly brings me joy. But and on those bigger things. And I like the way that you phrased it. You say you pray for others. And I do that too. I do not pray for myself. Always pray for others, and I think that is just that sense of giving. But just recently, we put our bird feeders out, and I spend a lot of time in my kitchen window watching the characters and the animals the bird feeders draw. The 6 squirrels yesterday, and all the different kinds of birds that are coming. And even the wild turkey that decided to walk across our driveway back and forth. It seems to be hovering around in our trees and our bushes somewhere. And so those small things, just on a day-to-day, can lift the spirits and bring you joy. So mental health is not always those big grand gestures. Sometimes it's just a small moment in time that brings a smile.
You know, it's and giving thanks for those things when you do see them, and recognizing them as something that gives you joy and is a positive is so important. Now, and as we talked about, the first guest today is just going to blow our minds. And you sent me the link to the film that we're going to be reviewing and talking about, and wow, I can't even put into words.
Well, I think the theme just ties right in, because the theme for the Canadian Mental Health Week is empathy is the ability and willingness to see and understand others. And as we introduce our first guest this morning, we are going to see that on an international level as well. And bringing the humanity into some of the global issues. So watching this film last night was amazing.
Yes, we will be right back with this fabulous film on Grey County Life at Home with.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
As the fighting continues in Ukraine, thousands of people are fleeing for their lives, forced to leave everything behind. You can help them. Your donation to the Humanitarian Coalition will provide food, water, shelter, and medical care to the people of Ukraine who urgently need it. Call 1-855-461-2154 or donate online today at together.ca. That's together.ca. The Humanitarian Coalition. Together, saving more lives.
Hi, I'm Callie Ewens, defenseman with Owen Sound Attack. Go behind the scenes with your favorite team on Attack Craft every Tuesday on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Grey County Life at Home. We are we have such special guests today because we're going to be talking about a film called We All, and it is so important, particularly at this time, but it is timeless and it's absolutely amazing. So I am so pleased to welcome Nadia Ellis and she's going to give us an overview and some history around the film. And we also have streaming in from Belgium, Pierre Picard, who is the director of this film. So welcome to both of you. And Nadia, let's start with you to give us just a little background information.
Thank you, Mary Jane, and welcome, Pierre. It is lovely to see you. I know we've worked together on this project over the last several months, but this is the first time we've seen each other, so it's quite lovely.
Wow.
So the International Day of Living Together in Peace, it's celebrating its 5th anniversary through being recognized with the UN. And it is a day that is encouraging citizens from around the world to really embrace that concept that we are better together. I know Sheikh Khalid Ben Tounes, who was their initiator of the day and kind of the main driving force behind it. One of his main philosophies is that we need to move from a culture of I to a culture of we. And this day is really about that. And it's about believing that we are all in our differences, a beautiful mosaic that comes together, and we can all contribute so much to have a very rich and rewarding community by embracing things like peace, love, respect, dignity, and all of the things that go with it. So this year, we have had the great fortune of being able to work with Pierre and his team using the movie and the documentary We All, which is a perfect exemplary piece of what this whole mission is about. And so by watching this film on an international stage, so over 400 organizations in over 52 different countries around the world have agreed to partner together to make this day very special. And so the film will be shown on various avenues. So here in our community in Owen Sound, it'll be shown on channel 53 on Rogers TV at 7 p.m. It'll be shown at the Grey County Building, a screening in the council chambers, and then in the evening of May 16th from 6 till 8 p.m. there will be a live show at CTRE Productions downtown in Owen Sound, and we invite anybody to come and watch the film together and to sign the Universal Declaration of Living Together in Peace, which is really what we're trying to achieve. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to share the information today as well. And I really look forward to hearing what you have to say as well, Pierre. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadia.
Oh, and Pierre, can you tell us more about the film? It has, not only is it international, but it also has different formats in terms of bringing people together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole idea of the movie is basically to have a feel-good movie. You know, the news that we watch on television today are most of the time quite negative, and it's about fear about the others. And so my personal experience brought me to some situation where basically making the step towards the other, it's not so difficult. And so once you make the step, I was wondering, you know, how can I show to the rest of the world, you know, that making the step in very difficult situation, like post-war situation, like in Bosnia, Lebanon, or Indonesia, is not so complicated. Once you have the willingness of being curious in meeting people who do not have the same identity than you. So the movie, it's all about fighting the fear which can be inside of you by just meeting the other, whoever the other could be, you know. And just one small correction, the title of the movie in English is All of Us, not We All. We All could be an exact translation of Nous tous, but in English, it's All of Us.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No problem.
It's really, it was really heartwarming to see and very hopeful to see how individuals in the different countries could actually start to knit together what the warring factions were, the fragmented societies, and how they were able to, you know, through sport or through camp or through a church environment where it was all inclusive. So there's so many different ways of bringing people together. How did you knit that and come up with that?
Yeah. Well, it's a long-term process. I mean, the movie took 3.5 years to make it. The first step, it's basically, you start by Googling and try to find some situation, some country on Google where this situation is possible. I had a list of 25 countries, but, obviously you cannot show 25 countries. In some of them, I did not get the authorization to go and shoot there. So I focus on 6 countries, which are Bosnia, Lebanon, Indonesia, Senegal, United States, and Russia, one of the Republic of Russia. And once you identify those countries, you have to identify the right protagonist, the right story. And what is wonderful in our world today is that you can speak easily Arabian, Indonesian, whatever language through WhatsApp. So you start to connect very easily with the people. You explain the project. And so in 2018, I went there to meet the people with who I've been connected through internet. And I came back with 31 stories on different situations where the people have met. And as you mentioned, it could be in sport, could be in theater, could be people working together, neighbor, whatever. And from the 31 story, I had to choose 8, which are in the final movie. And I went back in 2019 with a larger crew to film those 8 stories. The film should have been released in Belgium or in Europe in September 2020, but because of the pandemic, we had to wait 1 year. So it was released in the Brussels Festival in October 2021, and it's going to be released internationally in May 16. Yeah.
Well, what I found so moving about the film, the underlying, the underlying theme is keeping hope alive. And when I watched the first segment in Bosnia, that was a terrible war, and terrible things happened during that war. And yet this young woman was able to start to bring together the 2 differing factors. They were shooting each other, they were killing each other, and yet she was able to sort of bring those 2 sections together and to actually have a common goal. And when it was seeing the individual with the rights and dignity of an individual rather than a whole group, that's when you start to build the humanity.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. What was important for me is that I wanted to show normal citizen. The people that you see in the movie are normal people who one day wake up and say, well, we cannot continue like that. We have to change something. Okay. So that could be something that everybody who's going to watch the movie can do. Wake up one day and say, well, what am I going to do personally to make the step toward the other? So the story that you mentioned in Bosnia from Nujema, or the story from Leah in Lebanon, are just normal women who one day say, well, we have to stop the situation in which we are today, and I'm going to do something about it. So Nujema brought the people through sport. She created this sport club where basically Serbian people, Croatian and Bosniak are running together towards the same goal. And in Lebanon, Leah brought Halawit and Sulit to together play theater. So it's a simple thing, but when you go on the ground, when you are there with them, you realize that those very simple things are making a big change locally, but a really big change.
Well, I was fascinated also through all the situations, how people were coming together and with a better understanding of each other's either culture, religion, or traditions. And one of the things that I thought was so doable within our own community was the church in Brockville, where the actual church service included the Jewish religion, the Muslim religion, and the Christian religion, all in one building, all at the same time. All the congregations of each of the different religions could participate in all of the religions. And so where you're building a sense of community based on coming together and understanding, and I think that's the biggest thing, is understanding each other.
Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, it was very touching to hear the Allah Akbar, so the appeal from the Muslim in the church. You know, it was the first time for me. One thing which is very important is that they do not combine the faith. Each of them are still in their own faith, but what they are trying to do is basically see what do they have in common. And basically, because they are the three religions from the book, you know, there is a lot of things in common, and that's what they try to share, and focusing on what they have to share together instead of trying to see what they are pulling them apart. So that's the big focus, and that's the big change that they try to bring in the Brookville church. Yes.
Well, I think that was what was happening with all the scenarios. Is what is the same? What do we have in common? What do we want out of life in terms of, you know, stability, peace, happiness, food, shelter, all of those things people want in common, but they may have been divided by attitudes or systemic mythologies about the other, when in fact they are more the same than they are different.
Yeah, right. And for me, a touching story is the one from Rory and Arif in Florida. I mean, this couple, basically she's Jewish, he's Muslim, they met, they fall in love, they married, and they got children. And come the question on how do we raise the children, in which religion, you know? Both of them, I mean, Rory and Arif wanted their child to be, you know, either Muslim or Jewish, and they decided to raise them in both 100% religion. So this is because we live with them for a few days, you know, and we really see practically how they make this happening. How can you be 100% Jewish and 100% Muslims? I think they really achieve it, you know. So for me, it was a very moving story to be able to live with them for a few days and to see how they do it on a practical basis, you know.
Well, their family dinners were very interesting.
Yeah, right.
Where you had the Jewish family sitting at the table, the Muslim family in the prayer room. And then they joined together, and they all had dinner together and became one big, large family. So It wasn't just the couple raising their children, it was the extended families as well that were being drawn in.
Yeah, you're totally right. And that was a big step for some of the members of the family, you know. So you're totally right. It was not only the story of Rory and Arif, but it was a story of the both family, which basically are learning from each other, you know. And you're right to see that, to be able to see Shabbat on Friday, and I saw Arif, so the father, the Muslim father, wearing the kippah on his head. I say, wow, that's very interesting, you know.
And I love the scenario about the two girls at camp, coming from two very different religions again, and striking up that bond and that understanding, so that once again it spreads out. I mean, it starts with the two girls. Well, it starts with the camp and how they brought the Jewish faith and the Muslim faith together, but how the girls set up the story of these two girls, how it set up this bond that will probably be a lifetime bond.
Yeah, and this story is in Indonesia. And there is a funny story behind the scene that when I was preparing the visit of Mishka, the Muslim girl, to the church of Hela, the Christian girl, I was asking Mishka, what is the big question that you really want to know about the religion of Hela? Is it something, you know, very important that you want to ask? And she said, well, something I'm really wondering is why in church we can keep the shoes and in mosque we have to remove the shoes, you know. And that was her big question, you know.
I'm wondering, Pierre, you mentioned that you had a lot of different stories that you could choose from to put into the final version of the film. And we talked about the fact that it is so timely, this film, and fear of the other and raising awareness. Do you think that you'll go back and visit these other stories in a future version of the film? Because as much as I think that it's a theme and a message that I don't think it's going to go away, our need for it, unfortunately. There's always going to be those different factions that benefit from separating us and creating fear of the other. But so do you think you'll go back and visit those other stories and maybe make another version of the film?
No, I will not do it because, it's my job is not to be a film director. I did it almost by accident. And honestly, my wife will kill me if I start a new project again, So no, I've done one film in my life and that's it. I'm not going to be doing a version 2.
Well, it has a very strong message and an underlying timeless message. And the dark times that we are in right now and the divisions that are being perpetuated. And I mean, it's a strategy particularly to our neighbor in the South, to divide. And I think it's more important that we have these really strong messages, that we need to find what is the same and what can we do together as opposed to this side or that side. And particularly overseas in Ukraine, where we have this invasion, we need to, as your film says, we need to keep the hope alive.
Yes, I think so, and I'm somebody very optimistic, and I'm optimistic about the future also, even if the situation in the world today is not so bright. And you mentioned the war in Ukraine. I've been working for more than 1 year in Russia in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I still have a lot of contact with my Russian friends, and they are totally aware about what's going on. So I don't think that the Russian population is totally blind, and I think that they are very, very aware of what is happening and what needs to change. Okay, so when you hear and when you talk with those people, you realize that the hope is there. Okay, and I think that we still need to believe on the good smartness of the common basic citizen. Okay, and also the media are not always very open to good and positive stories. I think the media are more focusing on what is going wrong.
I'm Carolyn King, and I'm a member of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the creator of the Moccasin Identifier. Philip Cote, an artist in Toronto here, took and redrew real moccasins. We're starting over with the children. The idea is that they would research whose land their school is built on, near, or what treaty area they're in. And the educational kit that we have has all that information in there. And the children just love it. My dream is that this province will be covered with moccasin identifiers within the next decade, and they will forever know whose land they're on. That's the goal. Educate and awareness with a nice, simple little program called the Moccasin Identifier.
Are you the type who would keep going or stop? It's not easy to stop when you have an addiction. Legalizing cannabis won't stop addiction. It trivializes its consumption. Let's be vigilant. If you need help, visit portage.ca.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.
Welcome back to Great County Life at Home. And we just have to say, Mary Jane, that was inspiring. That film is quite amazing. And I think, I would absolutely love to go downtown Owen Sound to watch the preview, I don't know how you call that, the
launching.
The launching, yes. And it's going to be at the CRTE building downtown Owen Sound on May the 16th. Doors open at 6 p.m. The address is 881 2nd Avenue East, Owen Sound. It's at the bank corner in Owen Sound. It's the old Bank of Montreal building. So they're hosting the screening of the film. They're going to have a few different things going on that evening. And they're hoping to get a full house, which would be spectacular. But Nadia also mentioned that there is an expo in Amsterdam, the Floriade Expo. It happens every 10 years, and it's all around peace. So I personally am going to Google that the moment we are done filming today to find out more about it, because it actually runs for 6 months. And I mean, wouldn't that be a spectacular reason to go to Amsterdam? Hello. So it was just very inspiring segment. That was awesome. Yeah. And our guest, sorry, go ahead, Margie.
I was going to say, and of course, folks who have cable 53 of Rogers TV, it will also be airing as well. It's a 2-hour film.
Yeah, and it is quite amazing. So our guest right now, Charlie, is the wonderful Lacey Mooney from the Roxy. And I just have to tell you, Lacey, I am a huge fan of your stage work. You are incredible on the stage. I love watching you, and I hope you keep doing this for a very long time and get back up there on another production.
Thank you. I hope to. I'm already aching to get back. So I'm directing back-to-back shows, and then I'm back on there. I got to get back on stage. So
excellent.
Well, tell us about the shows that you're directing right now.
Yeah. So upcoming next week, I am directing Matilda Jr. It is a youth production. So we actually started this right in the midst of COVID in 2020. We started a youth program, and we said, you know what? Now is a great time because kids are at home. They're missing their friends. They're missing that arts connection. So what can we do to bridge the gap? So we started a youth program, and starting in January, we started rehearsals, and we had auditions, and they've been working since then on Matilda, and it's a full licensed production. It's an hour long, and we have 30 kids that are involved. There's 29 of them are on stage. And then we have one who signed up and he said, I want to be involved, but I do not want to be on stage. So he is in our tech booth. He's our sound guy. So it's a great group of kids. And we chose Matilda. It was one of my favorites as a kid. It's a Roald Dahl book. And the movie was one of my favorites. It's with Danny DeVito. And he actually directed it as well. And it's about a young girl who is so intelligent and just so wonderful. And she lives with parents who aren't as kind and don't appreciate how wonderful and intelligent she is. So she gets to go to school. And when she goes to school, she meets the wonderful Miss Honey. And Miss Honey is just kind of her counterpart, this person that understands her, appreciates her, and knows how special she is. But at the school, we also have Miss Trunchbull, who is the headmistress, who is definitely the epitome of evil. So that kind of stands in the way. So the kids have had a blast putting this together. It was quite a fast turnaround. Born Yesterday just finished at the Roxy. So in one day, they took down that set and put our set back up. It's phenomenal. And it's all volunteers that do this. So it's just incredible. So we're very excited to finally get to show it. And we're so glad we can have an audience. You know, we didn't know when we were planning it whether we would be allowed to have an audience. So we're very happy that we can.
So tell us when the production is going to be viewed on stage.
Well, the show actually starts on May 11th. We have 5 school shows. So there was an abundance of schools that wanted to come, which is awesome. And many classes wanted to support their fellow classmates that are in it. So we start on May 11th with school shows. For the general public, there are 3 shows that happen on May 13th in the evening. That's a Friday at 7:30. And then there's 2 shows on May 14th at 2 o'clock and 7:30. Now, I do have to say, there's not many tickets left. We are just starting promotion now, and there's only single tickets left. And I did happen to check, and it looked like someone might have returned 2 for the matinee. So if you rush, you might get them. But they've started a waiting list too. With COVID, people tend to turn them in. So if you are interested, make sure to head over to the Roxy box office and they will help you out.
Wow, that's amazing for the kids too, to have sold out shows. That is awesome. They'll really make their night.
Incredible. Yeah, the support has just been outstanding. And like I said, we just kind of start promotion now. So it was basically just word of mouth and families wanting to come and support, and a lot of families just looking for something to do and aching to get back into the theater like I am. So yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, it's certainly a boost to their confidence when you have people flocking to come and see them. And it just says, well, we're doing the right thing. We're good enough. We're worthy of full houses. And so I think that's really important for kids who have worked so hard on putting these productions together.
Absolutely. And these kids have been home for the past 2 years, right? So to all of a sudden have people, we had actually a little bit of a preview performance at the Cultural Awards. And, you know, people were coming up to them after and saying, oh my goodness, you did such a good job. And their faces were just lit up. And they said, I can't believe people are talking to me. I feel like a celebrity. And it's that confidence, you know, that I feel theater really instills. And that's our hope. And we do a full production, but we also have camps, and we're working on some classes for the fall as well, because the demand is there. And as soon as people see their friends up there performing, then they go, hey, I want to do that too. I want to get recognized in public for my performances. So yeah, the demand is high and it's great.
What's the age span of the actors?
The youngest we have is 9 and the oldest is 17. Wow. Yeah, so quite a range. There was a lot kind of in that 9, 10, 11, and then a few teens as well. So a great group, and the older ones are just so good with helping the younger ones. There was no, you know, you kind of worry about that, where our team's going to feel uncomfortable being with the little ones so often, but there was none of that. They're all just such a close-knit group. They all have a Snapchat group that they chat with each other. They said, I'm not allowed to be a part of it. So I don't know, but they all get along. So it's great.
So Lacey, just between you and I,
yeah,
which is the easiest to work with? Is it adult actors or children actors?
Well, they all come with their own sets of challenges. Let's just say that. I've never fully directed adults. I'm about to. In November, I'll be directing Beauty and the Beast with adults. But for now, it's been kids, and I find kids are just so enthusiastic. They bring that level of excitement that sometimes we as adults miss, and we don't have. We're just not as engaged. So they bring that, and every new thing that we add is just so exciting, right? When we add lights and then they've got costumes, they're just so excited. And adults tend to just kind of sometimes be very flat. So we'll see if I survive the adults.
Well, when we see the adults on stage, they are spectacular. They're full of life and sparkle and,
yes,
and drama. So once they hit the stage, they just come to life, and they just bring the productions to life. And I'm so glad to see or hear that children are absorbing all these new things and that sense of wonder.
Absolutely. And I have to touch on, so we have summer camps, and I was doing up a board report, and the junior camp is already sold out. And so, and again, no promotion. Wow. It's just the kids that are in the show telling friends. And so we've already met and we've upped registration. So now we have 30 kids for each camp. So it's incredible. It's great. And I think we're so lucky in this area to have such a strong arts and theater scene. And we're seeing that more, that people really, really missed it. And we need to fill that void. We need to have programming. So I'm so glad we're able to offer it for kids as well as adults.
How long are the camps?
So each camp is 2 weeks long. So the first 2 weeks of July is the junior camp, and that's for ages 7 to 12. And then the last 2 weeks of July is our senior camp for 12 to 17 age group. We decided to do a 2-week camp. They've done that the past couple years, and it just makes it that the kids can do a little more of a meatier show, and that you don't have that week timeline crunch. So it's a 2-week long music theater camp. So they do singing, acting, and dancing. This year it will be at the Roxy. Last year we did it at Kelso Beach, which was awesome to be outside, but it was the July of the hurricane water. That was just a whole other challenge. So we're happy we can be back at the Roxy for those.
Oh, good Lord. I don't know how that would just, yeah.
So at the end of the 2-week time frame, there is a production.
Yeah, so they get to perform it. The idea is mostly for friends and family of, the camp participants, but we do open it up, and generally it's just to pay what you can, and we just put a donation bin outside, and it's just come and see them and support. And the support of those camps is astounding. Our March break camp, there was over 100 people that came to watch it. And we raised almost $400 just from, them putting on a performance. So it gives the kids something to look forward to, that it's not just a camp, they actually get to perform at the end of it, that's the exciting part. That's what we all want to do. So
that's why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that I liked in your initial introduction, you talked about the kids in Matilda, and one of them said, I want to be part of this, but I don't want to be on stage. And so they are given a role that doesn't put them in the spotlight. And so really what it said to me was that you're sort of catering to what the individual child is interested in. Not all children are rushing to be in the spotlight. Some children like to sit back, kind of survey the landscape. What is this all about? I want to be sort of in the background for a moment until that spark will get me on stage.
That's it exactly. And we really do need those backstage people. I mean, when you go to see a performance, often the focus is on the actors, right? Because that's what you're seeing. But the amount of people and the amount of time that goes into making this production, I don't think people realize. So, I mean, there's sound people, lighting, props, costumes, sets, hair, makeup. There's a whole team. So for these kids, we really want to engage everybody, and we realize that not everybody's a performer, and that's okay. So how can we involve you and make you part of our team, but also cater to what you feel comfortable with? So the boy that's doing the sound, I believe he's 11, and he's just awesome. And he's never done anything like this before, but he did the summer camp last year and went, I am not a performer. So he said, but I still like it. I like the people. I like the vibe. And so we're so happy to have him. And that's our plan for our classes in the fall, that they're not performer based. They're just theater based. So you can join and they'll be different. You'll learn about lighting. You'll learn about sound and sets and all of that. There will be a performance element. But if you don't want to perform, you don't have to. It's okay.
Yeah, what a great way to maybe spark somebody's imagination as to how they can be involved in theater and production and that sort of thing. And who knows, what director is going to come out of one of these programs. That is amazing.
Absolutely. And that's the hope, right? We do have a lot actually, that I know of that have gone on to theater school, and a few chose the production route. And so it's amazing that their roots and where they've learned is here in the area. So it's great. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that you're going to be directing Beauty and the Beast in the late 2022.
Yes.
So what kind of parts are you going to have for that?
So there is all sorts. Auditions will be on June 12th. And anybody who's interested can head over to the Roxy website page, and there's a little auditions tab, and it tells you all about it. So it'll be probably, we're aiming for about a cast of 30. There's one child role, and the rest we're saying about 16 and up. But it's going to be a big production. So this was nice. I could kind of wet my feet with Matilda a little bit before we get into the grand Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, very exciting for sure. And Lacey, I mean, I don't know if you've ever told people what your history is, but how did you get into volunteering and being at the Roxy?
So I did theater, more so theater camps when I was a kid. And my first production with the OSLT, the Owen Sound Little Theater, was Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I was in the kids chorus, and my mom was in it as well. And it just sparked this, this light. And I said, I got to do this. So just over the years, just on a volunteer capacity, I've been in, I think, 18 Owen Sound Little Theater productions. Then I had started my own theater company because I wanted to entice and get the young ones in. So then when the Roxy came to me and said, hey, we want to start this youth program, are you interested? I said, absolutely, this needs to happen. So let's do it. So, and here we are.
That is amazing. Wow. Well, we are really looking forward to your productions. Seeing you on stage is my preference, I should say, but that's just my selfish wants and desires. So, but we're really looking forward to seeing your work as a director. That is incredible. And I'm sure that you just your personality, I'm sure you've inspired a lot of the kids at the camp and at the production of Matilda, and looking forward to that. Maybe, I mean, I don't know how that works. If you can put some more shows in, especially if you're already sold out, my gosh, without advertising, that's incredible.
Marcia, the executive director, she's trying, but we're doing 8 shows in 4 days. So I think we're all going to need a little break.
A little bit of a rest after that, I would say. Well, thanks so much for coming on and telling us about the new production. And we wish you much success. And I guess the saying is break a leg.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll have you back when you're ready to start promoting Beauty and the Beast.
Perfect. I would love that.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well,
bye, Lacey. Thank you.
With one of our favorite segments, Adorable Adoptables on Grey County Life at Home.
Hi, I'm Cedric Guénon, and I'm a center for the Owen Sound Attack. Catch great OHL action on Rogers TV as we bring you Owen Sound Attack games live, both home and away.
to Great County Life at Home, and it's everybody's favorite segment, Adorable Adoptables with Renee. And my word, Renee, is that a face only a mother could love? I'm not sure. There's a lot of tongue there, and the funny teeth. Oh my gosh, who is this beauty?
Oh my goodness, this beautiful girl is named Nova. Hi. And Nova, I'm hoping she sits with me. She's a heavy one, so I can't guarantee anything. Okay, hang on. There we go. Oh my goodness. Hi. Okay. So Nova is a 3-year-old female. Who doesn't want to sit on my lap right this like, there you go. She is an Alafa Blue Bulldog. And basically what that is your typical squishy face bulldog in a tiny little bit of a taller body. The bulldogs typically are short and wide like a coffee table. Although she's rather coffee table-ish, she's a little bit taller, and she has a little more energy. Those dogs are often recognized as your couch potato dogs. They don't do a whole lot of anything, and Nova is definitely not that. Now, she's certainly not a crazy girl in any sort of the word, but she has energy, so she is more apt to go for long walks. She's more apt to rip around your backyard. She'll play fetch. She'll do all of those things the other bulldoggies don't necessarily do, because let's be honest, they don't have the energy for it. Now, she has come from a home with older children, and she is great with kids, and she's great with all people. But I have to say, Nova has a wicked prey drive. So she is not good with cats and not good with small dogs. She's going to chase squirrels. She's going to chase the chippies. She's going to do all that kind of thing because that's what they do when they have a prey drive. So what is very important about Miss Nova is it would be ideal if she went to a place with a fenced yard or no neighbors with pets. Unfortunately, Nova got herself into a little bit of trouble with the neighbor's Jack Russell, and that's how she ended up here. Didn't you? You were a bad girl. Yeah.
Oh, poor girl.
She didn't mean it. She's doing what she does, and it was a no fence situation, and these sort of things happen sometimes. So it is important that we make sure that we mention that if you live in town, you don't have a fence, and you're not going to walk this dog on a strong leash, we probably don't want you to adopt her. We want you to instead tell your friends. So she is available, but to a very specific home. We don't want Nova to get herself in any trouble, but at the same time, we don't want to get in any trouble either, do we? I think she's watching herself on the screen. Can you see you there? You can see something, I'm not sure. She has her vetting done, so yay for that. She has some training done, so that's also fantastic. She's great in the house. She's great in the car. She's a little strong on a leash, but she does settle quite well. And she has some tricks that she knows. She knows some stuff, so all of those things are fantastic. And she'd fit about anywhere. Like I said, not so well on my lap. She's a heavy girl. I would put her, we're going to say she's knee height, but she's probably 75 pounds. So she's a bit of a chunker, aren't you? And to be honest with you, her head makes her look rather small or smaller, but her body is bigger than her head. So, sorry, Nova. Doesn't make you sound very appealing at all, but she's a little bit of a potato head in comparison to her big body, right? It also means
that's why we call them adorable.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? You're going.
Girl. Well, and when you said, Renee, about walking her, that she's a strong girl. I mean, at 70 pounds, 75 pounds, you know, she's going to be dragging people around if they don't have her under control. And I just have to say with Charlie, I love the little halty. Didn't I put that on him? Yeah, it works like a charm.
Yes, we love it. We love the halty. We love the gentle leaders. She has a squishy face, which makes that a tiny bit more challenging. Your gentle leader is a better option to your halty in that case because it can be adjusted to fit snugly. The halty loosens as your leash loosens, and I'm pretty sure it would fall right off her face because she's got a little squish nose. But The Gentle Leader is a good alternative. There are other great walking tools to use as well. We don't typically recommend a body harness. There are probably people watching who will disagree with me, but we find it makes them pull a little harder, like a husky. As is the case with Nova. She thinks that's a whole lot of fun. You pull, I'll pull, you pull, I'll pull. So definitely not a harness in her case. But as I said, she does enjoy her walks. And after a few quick minutes of a whole lot of fun, she does get a lot easier to manage. So it's not something that is impossible. And certainly with lots of practice, it'll get easier as time goes. And certainly at the moment, she's staying a quite unactive life at the animal shelter. She's only been with us a couple of days, but we're already seeing she's getting more energetic as time goes because she's got stuff to do and it doesn't involve sitting still. So it's all good. But
well, I do need to ask about Susie, your black cat, and where is Susie now?
Black-eyed Susan has a wonderful home with a single gentleman, and he is her new best buddy. He kept her name. He thought it was fantastic. I didn't know that a flower was the thing that people would recognize as something cool, but we got lucky, and Susie still kept her name, and she's doing well. So very excited about that.
That's wonderful.
Good girl. Nova's now sitting on my feet. That's a much better option, but I can't show her to you anymore. She's all good. Good girl.
Now, and the dog that has that really strong prey drive, Renee, is there, I mean, as they get older, they're going to calm down, or is that something that's just with them no matter what, or something with training, real good training would help?
Yeah. Prey drive itself is a natural instinct that some dogs have stronger than others. Well, I mean, they all have it, some just stronger than others. And unfortunately, the enjoyment they get from running that prey cannot be overcompensated, I guess is the word I want, or cannot be taken away by any sort of punishment. Of course, we don't want to do that anyway. Or there's nothing that beats that feeling. So we can't reward something greater than that. So training is important, especially with recall. But the best way to stop it altogether is to avoid those situations, because the thrill of the chase literally is the best thrill for them. And once they get onto that, the more it happens, the stronger that force becomes, because they really like it. They can't help it. It's what they're supposed to do. Hopefully, as time goes on and she doesn't get the opportunity to enjoy that, she'll forget how fun it was. But a good recall is most important, and that means so that no matter what, they want to come to you when things go south. So, but avoiding it by keeping them in a fenced yard and a leash is definitely helpful. Now, I do have dogs at home with a prey drive who live with dogs and cats, and sometimes in the home is entirely different, but I don't want to recommend anybody try that without the knowledge and skills to do so. It's something, of course, that can result in an injury of somebody else, and that's never something we want.
Never fun. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Renee, for bringing Miss Nova onto the show today. We look forward to finding out where she gets a nice new home next week. And we hope to see everybody next week on Great County Life at Home. Have a great week, everybody.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
When it comes to drugs, how much freedom is too much for kids?
Drugs are out there. Will my teen feel free to say no around other kids?
I didn't live drug-free when I was younger. Can I admit that to my kids?
Drugs worry me, but how can I feel free to talk about it with my kids?
Questions about drugs and kids? Drug-Free Kids Canada.
As the fighting continues in Ukraine, thousands of people are fleeing for their lives, forced to leave everything behind. You can help them.